Hello there, this is Ron Wills coming back at you with yet another video. When women think you're perfect. Yeah. Hey y'all, look, I was in a department store the other day. You know they always have some music playing. And this song was playing, and this song where this woman, felt this guy was her dream man. And it's a popular artist, but sometimes I hear something and I can't remember exactly who sang the song, and I'm just, I'm like, But one time, I just happened to listen to the words a little bit, and it made me think about how some women are looking for, they looking for that ideal man, the perfect man. In fact, the very first thing I wrote when I decided I wanted to make a living as a writer was a short story called The Perfect Man. All right. And it was basically the story of a man who he seemed like the perfect guy for two different women. He basically put on the mask that they wanted to wear. He picked up on what they wanted, and that's what he did, right? But fellas, let me warn y'all about that, right? If a woman starts telling you how perfect you are and that you're her ideal man, stop her real quick. Stop her right there and say, hold up, baby, I'm human. Just tell her that. Just tell her that. You don't have to tell her how bad all that bad stuff you did, and how you used to drink 40s and stuff when you were 15 and driving your grandmother's car. Oh shit, I might have. Anyway, nah, you don't want to do all that, right? You don't want to do all that, but you just want to let her know you're human. Because, first of all, if a woman sees you as perfect and like how ideal you are, and she telling all her friends, she's basically put you up on a pedestal. Now, I know some guys are probably like, well, what's wrong with that, Ron? Here's the problem. Your ass is human. So the problem with it is she's seeing all that perfect stuff and her expectations are up and she think everything is going to be great. But when stuff happens, and it does, because, well, stuff happens. I have disagreements. Shoot, you say something, you might make a mistake. Hell, you might slip walking down the street. Or, you get to a point, you might have a bout of depression or something. After a bad day of work, or, you ain't feeling up to it. I'm going to tell you what happens every single time. That woman, all of a sudden, you become lower in her mind. All of a sudden, that little thing becomes a big thing with her. Because understand, when she got with you and saw you as so perfect and so ideal, she had a romanticized image of you. Women typically don't think about the bad parts, or what could potentially be the bad part, when they meet that type of man. Oh yeah. They don't think about those things. They just think how great it'll be, and they got a pet name for you and everything, and they thinking about how the conversation is going to go. And the problem is, when those things don't happen, then they get disappointed. They get disappointed, or they just like, oh, you're not the man I thought you were. And the real issue is they ain't really try to get to know you. I had a woman like that, well, several women like that, and they thought one thing about me. And then she had the nerve to actually say that to me, you ain't the man I thought you were. And, Ram has been very clear about not hitting a woman, but I ain't say nothing about cursing one out. And I pretty much let her know what I thought about her and her perceptions. Ironically, we got cool again, and then she really got to know me, and she was like, you know what? I was tripping. She actually said this to me. A woman said this. She was like, Ron, I was tripping. I should have just sat back and just got to know who you were. Because she was pleasantly surprised. Because the thing is, once a woman thinks you're perfect, and when she thinks you're ideal, she's already put you in a box. She already got she putting you in that script, that movie script that she has in her mind. And then the problem, but of course, you go against script. You know, and there's really nothing wrong with you. She was just so set on what she wanted to see that she didn't see was actually there, and which she could have been pleasantly surprised by. See, one thing, and I've said this too. Well, have I said? I don't know. I might have said that. Y'all can tell me if I have, right? But I got a weird thing about me. I don't try to impress women when I first meet them. In fact, I actually prefer if they see me at my worst. Man, I've had some who have. I've had several women, they meet me and they're like, no, Ram is such a bad guy and he's this and he's that. But then when I just go in and do my thing and they see what I'm about, then they pleasantly surprised. But that's because they didn't have an idealized version of me. They had the real version of Ram. That dude who, well, that could be a little crude at times. Well, I kind of grew out of that. Kids do that to you, because especially since they pay attention to everything you do. But, when I was young, I was crude, a little bit more blunt than I am now. And I pretty much didn't hide it. I ain't put on a facade. Just because I did not want a woman to think I was Mr. Perfect. Because I've already been through that, and trust me, you don't want to do that, right? So the thing, you always want to be your most authentic self with the woman. Even if she's trying to put you in that other pedestal, or she's trying to look for the perfection, and then, of course, since you're human, you don't make that, then she wants to kick you to the curb or not deal with you. But you know how you deal with that, fellas? You let her go because she's living in La La Land. And you, as a man, and this goes across to men across the world, it is one of those ones, any man can relate to this. Any man can relate to this. Men, we don't have time to live in La La Land. One, because we got to pay for shit. Two, we get the consequences if something go wrong more likely. You got some women out here, I don't know, somehow they just are in an environment or around family members, neighborhood people, somebody who just coddle their asses and keep them from seeing the real of something. In fact, I would honestly say, if you look at if I were to interview women who've divorced their men or got out of long-term relationships, most of the time, I'm gonna say most of the time they had some expectation that wasn't reached, or they had some idealized version of them, and then when real life kicked in, you know what, he ain't gonna bring flowers home. Like Malcolm X talked about this in his autobiography. He tired from working all day. He ain't bringing no flowers home, or he ain't gonna be trying to carry you or anything, or feel like being all romantic and stuff. He done had a hard day at work dealing with some people he probably don't like. But see, many women have that idealized version. They have that romanticized version. They looking for Mr. Perfect. Because getting back to that story I wrote, that's kind of the beginning of how I got into relationships. Because when I wrote the story, I wasn't really thinking relationships. I just needed a good storyline, right? But I had women coming up to me, telling me their problems and stuff like I was a counselor. I was like, damn, it was just a story. But apparently to the women, it wasn't, because what women were telling me is they dealt with some man they thought was perfect. But if they weren't dealing with him realistically. And as men, hey, let the woman know, hey, you know what? I'm going to make some mistakes. That's just human. Let the woman know. Shit, I guess I tell women now. I tell people now, I say, look, I'm a work in progress. And I ain't gonna, you know what? I know a lot, but I'm still learning a lot. And that's what all men have to look at, and that's what women have to realize when they're dealing with somebody. So many women have told me they blew it with a guy because they were looking for some perfect shit. And then ironic if they find a guy that seems as perfect, and then they find that one little flaw, they ready to kick him to the curb. Ain't that some stuff? Anyway, right? I just wanted to share that today. I was gonna share something else, but well, I got a big announcement coming soon, so y'all stay tuned for that. All right, got a big announcement. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.